This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review with your MLB early lines report for the games taking place on Saturday, August 27th. We're going to be focusing in on the Pittsburgh Pirates Milwaukee Brewers matchup taking place Saturday, August 27th. And when I look at that game, minus 140. Pittsburgh is a road favorite in that range in this game, minus 140 to minus 145. That's usually a price that I'm not comfortable with laying on the road very often. But sometimes, especially later in the Major League Baseball season, when we get into the final month, it's harder and harder each day to find good value. I still think it's a good enough price to back the Pittsburgh Pirates here, laying about minus 140 to minus 145 on the road. They've got the better starter, and they certainly are still the better of these two teams. You got to like what you've seen from Jameson Taillon. I mean, this guy has been very, very good for the Pittsburgh Pirates since joining this rotation, especially as of late, been very consistent. His last 5 starts, Taillon has allowed 3 runs or less in all of those games. You look at his strikeout to walk ratio, just fantastic. He has just been in great command for the Pittsburgh Pirates. How about 10 walks to 60 strikeouts? 10 walks to 60 strikeouts for Jameson Taillon this season. Just very impressive stuff from him. I think he's going to be able to keep it going against Milwaukee. He has faced the Brewers, believe it or not, twice already this season. Twice in an 11-day span back in July, and he was terrific in both of those starts. 3 runs allowed in 12 innings against the Brewers over those 2 starts combined. No walks to 9 strikeouts in those 2 games. I think he's going to keep his good form going, as well as his track record of success against Milwaukee. I think he's going to keep it going here on Saturday. And on the flip side, it's been a very rough second half of the season post-All-Star break for Jimmy Nelson of the Milwaukee Brewers. He really had a very good showing earlier in the season. Heading into the All-Star break was in good form, but it seems like the All-Star break's really thrown him off kilter. He's really been hit hard. He's allowed 4 runs or more, actually, in the majority of his starts since that All-Star break. Milwaukee has not been winning games with Jimmy Nelson on the mound, as evidenced by the fact that they're 1-6 in Nelson's last 7 starts. So it's a guy that seems to be running out of steam a little bit here late in the baseball season. You know, against Pittsburgh, he's been okay, but not great by any stretch of the imagination in his career. So I think Pittsburgh, a decent chance to get another victory here in this particular matchup. Again, in that minus 140 to minus 145 range. It's not a phenomenal price by any stretch of the imagination, but it's still playable in my opinion. So we'll back Pittsburgh there, minus 140 to minus 145, and look for Jameson Taillon to continue to pitch well for the Pittsburgh Pirates here in this game taking place on Saturday. Other than that, I'm kind of interested in Cincinnati as even money, right around even money against Arizona. Anytime Arizona is priced at home where they're even money or favored, that's automatically a bet against situation, in my opinion. Arizona, just a miserable season, 23-42, 19 games below 500 at Chase Field. Just dismal numbers right there. And I don't trust Zach Godley. This hasn't been a pitching god, that's for sure, for the Arizona Diamondbacks. At the last start, he got absolutely shellacked by the Atlanta Braves. I mean, Atlanta's not a potent lineup by any stretch, and yet they smacked around Zach Godley last week for 7 runs on 9 hits in 5 innings. Just a terrible outing for Zach Godley, and I don't trust him here to shut down Cincinnati. He gave up 5 runs on 10 hits in 5.2 innings against the Reds earlier this season. On the flip side, Anthony DeSclafani taking the mound here for the Cincinnati Reds. Rather, he got hit around a little bit more in his last start against the Dodgers. 4 runs allowed on 8 hits in 7 innings. But still, I mean, his numbers, when you look at his last several starts, they've been great. I mean, he has allowed 3 runs or less in 8 of his last 10 starts. Very consistent for the most part from Anthony DeSclafani. It's worth noting he pitched once here in this ballpark last year, Chase Field here in Arizona. Pitched pretty well, allowed just 3 runs in 6 innings of work in that game. So Cincinnati probably worth a look, in my opinion, in this game with Anthony DeSclafani on the mound. Other than that, maybe a little lean to the over between Atlanta and San Francisco. Two pitchers I don't trust there. Fultonevich for Atlanta, who's been very up and down, and Jake Peavy, who's really sputtered as well in recent games. So maybe we see runs scored in that game. I also wouldn't argue with anyone looking at the Tigers on the run line in some form with Michael Fulmer on the mound against the LA Angels. That may be worth a look. You'll probably get a short -120 type of price with Detroit in the run line at -1.5, and maybe you give Kansas City an underdog look. +150 you can get with Kansas City on Saturday. I know David Price is on the mound for the Boston Red Sox, and he has been better lately. We do have to give David Price credit for that, but at the same point in time, look at Danny Duffy's numbers. 2.66 ERA, 2.04 ERA on the road. Kansas City is 16-3 in Duffy's 19 starts this season, including 6-2 on the road. In fact, Kansas City has won 10 straight starts made by Danny Duffy. And yet here we are with Kansas City and Danny Duffy on the mound at a +150 underdog price. I got to look at Kansas City. I do. I mean, I respect Boston at home. They've been very good at Fenway. I get that. There's no doubt about that. I understand that David Price has pitched better lately. There's no question there. 3-0 in his last 3 starts, 1.64 ERA during that time. I understand that. But this price is just too good at +150 to not take some sort of shot with Kansas City and with Danny Duffy on the mound in this game. He has just been phenomenal. He has come out of nowhere and been brilliant, really, for the Kansas City Royals. He's finally put things together. Kansas City at an underdog price, the only way I could look in that one. All right, that's my look at MLB early lines for the games taking place Saturday, August 27th. I'm sports handicapper Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, and until next time, enjoy the games and good luck.
Research before you bet. Be sure to check out SBR Picks for the best game predictions, breakdowns, and much, much more.